we're going to be talking about healing abandonment trauma from the root of the trauma. And I want to help you identify what the root of your abandonment trauma is and really start working from the root of it. When you are attracting relationships that continue to affirm this abandonment trauma, we're stuck in a loop and we need to go deeper. Okay, we need to go deeper into the inner child, meeting the inner child, and healing the inner child. The inner child is needing your love and attention beneath this pattern. Abandonment trauma is one of the biggest traumas that I see in my work. There are 3 that I see the most after working with over 3,500 people for the past 5 years, in person and online. And they are as follows: abandonment trauma, unworthiness trauma, and shame, people pleasing. Shame and people pleasing are the same to me. So I want to explain this in a story. I'm going to bring a personal story in for you that will help you identify your trauma and heal it. And we will get into some practical tools at the end of the video for you to start implementing to heal your own. So definitely stick around for that, because the type of guidance that I give is as straightforward, to the point, and practical as I possibly can get. So I hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe if you support my content, if you support my messages, if you support my energy. I appreciate you being here. My name's Grace Moralia. I specialize in trauma, subconscious healing. I help you heal inner wounds, blocks, and limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck in the same patterns or cycles in your life. And the way that we do this is through one-on-one coaching or in-person retreats in Sedona, Arizona. And all of the healing is to bring forth guidance from your soul and from the highest aspect of yourself, so that you can get into alignment with your highest self and release the things that are blocking you from being the highest version of yourself. If you're interested in coaching, if you feel drawn to my energy, you can reach out directly below and we can jump on a no pressure call to see if this work could align for you. And I also have a lower ticket offer below if you are someone who is struggling with finances and want to work on trauma and subconscious healing anyways. It's a great way to just kind of get your foot in the door and learn some tools. And I will also provide you with a self-love course teaching you how to love yourself now if you grab that offer. So it's 2-in-1. I'll just email it to you for free as a bonus, because I feel kind. So anyways, let's get into the message. So dealing with abandonment trauma is understanding that the inner child is still playing out needs that have not been met from your past. So we need to identify where that abandonment trauma started. So it started with mom or dad. Now mine started with dad. I'm going to start with my story because I feel it's really, really relevant. I have had, every relationship that I have had has been a mirror of my dad in some way, and has highlighted the abandonment trauma that I have had with my dad. Because I have a more of an anxious attachment style, my inner child is very pure and sweet, and she loves giving love. And when I was young, I would always love to pick flowers from my mother's garden that she had. She had a beautiful garden, and I just loved giving love, like giving flowers, love. Yeah, that's just my soul. And my father had a very challenging upbringing. His father is Sicilian, and I don't even think that he ever got any hugs. Like, my family has a history of being in the mafia, and so it's definitely a sketch. But because of that, my inner child always saw my dad. She always saw my dad for who he really was and what he really needed, and he definitely needed love, and he was abused. So he was verbally abusive to me. He never saw me. He never saw my depth. He could never meet my depth. So then I grew up thinking that I was too much, that I would be too much, that my unique expression was too much, that my emotions were too much. And anytime that I wasn't met in the depth that I felt, which was repetitively by this important father figure, my inner child shrank and felt like there was something wrong with me. So in my adult life, I attracted multiple relationships that reflected this lack of acceptance of myself and allowing myself to be who I really am, which is this deep woman. So I had that pattern continue up until about 3 years ago, and I had a lover who came in, and he was not like any other lover. He saw my he saw my inner child. He loved me for who I was. Every time that I would say something deep, he would meet me in that depth, and he just saw me, and he would just look at me with his beautiful eyes, and just like beautiful blue gray eyes, and just like look at me, and he would just be like just holding space for me. And I did not know how to handle that. My inner child fell in love with him for that reason. And I also want to say, any relationship that you have, your inner child does become attached to that person. So when you are grieving something or someone, you also have to grieve the pattern that comes with letting go of that person when you do, because most relationships you do have to let go of, whether or not you stay with them for your life or for a year or for a month. You have to grieve who you were in that dynamic, and that automatically brings up inner child wounds and abandonment trauma. So a lot of times people, I know I'm sharing this, I think this is important. A lot of times people are, thinking that they're still in love with somebody, but really they are in love with the pattern that they have not broken. They're still attached to the pattern that they have not broken that, was brought out in that relationship. So notice that if you have a hard time letting go of someone or something, that's an opportunity for you to ask yourself, what is attached to this person? What pattern is still attached? And then work on healing that pattern. That's what we do. That's what we can do in my work with together also, is identify and heal those deeper patterns so that they no longer are playing out in your life. It does take time, but it's the good shit. It's the good shit. And you just need the tools to understand how to do it, and I can show you those as well. So basically, this man comes in and he's loving me, and we had like an on and off relationship for a few years, and we kind of still dabble in some things sometimes because he is super close to me, and he is a Pisces and I'm a Scorpio, and those Pisces Scorpios, I'm telling you, they are soulmates. And basically, when the universe will tell you when to let go of something, whether or not you listen to it or not. You will know when a relationship is outdated, and most people get really, really afraid of that, letting go of something that they no longer need. And we're all like that because we don't want to face the trauma, the abandonment wounds that come with that. But basically, we both knew that it was time to let go in that type of relationship dynamic. And so what happened for me was, oh my gosh, it was like the most chaotic turmoil of myself that came up from all of this abandonment trauma, all of these wounds, all of this, like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And like hyperventilating and crying in a fetal position, and just being like, oh no, I can't lose him. And through that, I was able to observe what patterns were showing up in order that were being triggered for me to let go of. And this is really important because I chose to use this as a catalyst for my next level of evolution. The abandonment trauma, the inner wounds that we carry that are brought out in relationships, not only brings you back to childhood and those primary dynamics and gives you an opportunity to clean those up and forgive those and let go of those, but it also gives you an opportunity to become more whole in yourself now. Number one, to attract healthier dynamics. Number two, to have self-love. When my inner child was reaching for this man, saying, I don't want to let go of this man, I don't want to let go of this man, really, I had a choice to either abandon myself and my inner child in that and still seek externally and still reach for him, or I had an opportunity to go within myself and tend to the abandonment wounds that I was feeling and the other feelings that I had around this person. And so it was helping me complete a cycle. To me, abandonment trauma is a cycle. It is your subconscious seeking validation externally. It is seeking validation externally. It is seeking for mom and dad in another person. And so you have an opportunity, I had an opportunity to become my own parent in this experience and figure out what my deeper needs were within that letting go and shedding process. For me, I'm a Scorpio, so I have death and rebirth all the time. I also feel everything viscerally deep. And, I've had to accept that I'm just ultra sensitive, and, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that there's some people that are not like that. And so, they can't understand me at that same level of depth when they're not like that. That's okay. But I had to see my inner child was reaching, and I had to fill in her needs. Now, this is to me is how you develop true self-love, is when you're able to face the abandonment wounds that you're dealing with love. Because those are sticky emotions. Those are uncomfortable things to face. Letting go is uncomfortable to face, but it is a liberation point. Because once you start tending to those deeper wounds, then you're able to become who you really are. That abandonment trauma was keeping me from who I really was, from seeing things clearly. It also kept me in the cycle of reaching and validation and needing to be filled up and needing to be affirmed. And it's almost like my inner child was looking for dad in these people, right? Looking for dad in these people, looking for dad to stay. I want dad to stay this time. I want dad to meet me this time. Even though it wasn't dad, that's the pattern that was playing out. I'm losing dad, I'm losing dad, I'm losing dad. I want to love dad, I want to love, I want to love, I want to feel loved, I want to feel held. So big, deep stuff there for sure. And what did I find through this process is I found that my truth strength is in loving myself anyway. Everything comes and goes. That inner connection that you have with yourself, that I have with myself, needs to be the forefront of every action that I take. Acting on my own best interests in what feels right for me and what protects me and what amplifies me, what boosts me up, what fills me up, what helps me be the best version of myself is the key. That is the key. So what I'm wanting you to do is notice where you're still reaching for love outside of yourself. Not to say we don't need this love, but to ask yourself where you're reaching for it beyond the self, and then ask yourself why. Because this will give you a new perspective of how to go about completing cycles and completing emotions and healing these deeper wounds. You're giving yourself the opportunity to see yourself in the ways that you haven't been seen. And so basically reclaiming yourself. Every time that you reclaim yourself from external validation and from your wounds and decide, I'm going to love myself in this mess, you are getting closer to the essence of who you are. You're getting closer to the reality that you're meant to live. There is no perfect way to heal. Healing is not linear. So it's not about being hard on your inner child for having a hard time of letting go of abandonment trauma, or having a hard time letting go of the things that they wanted it to be. Like, your inner child really wants things to be certain ways. It wants to feel, he or she wants to feel like I'm good enough. So your power, your only power, is going to be in, I'm going to give myself that because I know that nobody else can meet that for me. And if they can, it's only for a period of time. So becoming your own best friend in these stickier emotions. So I'm going to get into the tools in a second. But I want to say, if you go through loss, if you're having a hard time letting go of something, ask yourself, what is this triggering in me? And then go directly into that wound. Focus on healing and loving the wound so that it can come into wholeness. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if this is making sense and resonating. Type, this makes sense, okay? I wanna see what's coming up for you. It's good to love people, but it's really important to know and love yourself and accept this uncomfortability that comes from healing. It's gonna be uncomfortable to face your abandonment trauma. It's gonna feel uncomfortable to face and look at the ways that you don't love yourself correctly, that you have given your power away to people outside of you. That's uncomfortable. But again, it's a key to your liberation and empowerment and attracting what you want. So these are the patterns and cycles that humanity needs to get out of. All right. So getting to the root of the trauma is getting to know your inner child and your inner needs in a deep way. And that is true love? What? You need to create a deeper relationship with these parts, or else you don't have a relationship with yourself. If you're not listening to yourself and what you feel, you don't have a relationship with yourself. You have an abusive relationship with yourself. You have to feel the deeper things, okay? So bring it into the light. Now I'm going to get into some tools that can help you with that. Even though I do feel like what I just shared would be some tools, what I would do is notice the people in your life that you are either being guided to let go of, or that you have a hard time letting go of. Or if you're still carrying wounds, abandonment trauma around your mom and dad, I want you to pause and do a meditation at some point and ask yourself, what part of me is attached to this connection, and what do I need to do to resolve this? What is my deeper need here? What am I asking myself to do? What am I asking life to do that I need to do for me? That is the self-love. That is the work, okay? So if you need help doing that, I will guide you through these processes through my coaching programs and teach you tools how to do it yourself. It's deep work, but it's so important because I get to be who I truly am from being able to face these dark spaces within me. So basically, summing up the story, I still love this person deeply. They're still in my life, but I didn't put them in the role as being dad, and I don't put them in the role as authority anymore, because I get to be my own authority. I get to be my own lover, and I understand that things are temporary, and I continue to need, and I needed to teach my inner child that that's okay. That's okay. They don't need to stay in order for me to be loved. They don't need to stay in order for me to be affirmed in my value. I already am valuable. I already am that for me. So I need that energy for my own goals and visions. And I have to reparent myself continually to let myself know that I love me and I'm here. So that's what I'm asking you to do as well. You be your own best advocate. Have your own best interests in the way that you needed mom and dad to have for you. And you will be on the trajectory of your highest path and coming into your highest power. So please let me know in the comments if this was helpful. I hope it was. And if you're interested in working together, reach out to me below. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.